Ask you on something about it. I mean, since we're dealing with COVID-19, maybe it would be best to leave it like as is now, but once we're beyond this, to make those changes at that point in time. Because I want to get this thing going as quickly as possible. If I have to take this back and modify it and change it and bounce it all around, I mean, I want this thing in people's paychecks tomorrow. And that's my thought.
I think that was the intent of the committee as well, was that we need to get something out there. We need to put COVID on it right now because that's what's on everybody's front burner, that's what's on their mind. If something comes across as a general policy, I don't think it's going to get the attention that it needs now. But at the same time, the policy can easily be smithed into a generalized policy that we can have in the policy books on hand for any similar type of emergency situation down the road. So this policy, I mean, the council could even say, yeah, we'll put this into effect, and it's in effect a certain amount of time. And then be able to review it, spend the time that's necessary to revise and modify. Because really, I mean, it takes time to put a policy together, and we really did concentrate on the COVID because that's what everybody's thinking about. And we did, as Dave's suggesting, and Don, those were considerations, and the ability to turn this into a more generalized policy in the future.
On the top of page 4, it says about work-related travel for essential employees. I think all of our employees that are working for the town are essential, aren't they?
Well, no, we've actually made a determination who is essential and who isn't essential. For instance, our library is closed down. That's not an essential operation up there. And I understand, I mean, but we're taking, this is actually determined by the state level, where the essential part of it is. And the majority of our employees are essential employees. I won't argue with that. But maybe the operations, some of the operations that we have, you don't need them for emergency type situations such as this. So
I guess, in my thinking, during this situation, I'd say we're not having to have any work-related travel because we don't want to put you out somewhere where somebody else might have it.
Right.
It just, we used to do that at work to call some employees essential and some that weren't. It just was kind of a
well, I think it boils down to
downgrade to me to some people to say they're not essential.
It's hard terminology.
They're all getting paid. That's the bottom line.
You're right.
So they're all essential as far as that goes.
David?
I agree with keeping the document as it is for this event. There's a lot of the stuff in here could be, I'm guessing, has been written on a CDC guidance that may be different from another event. So it's going to take time to craft or wordsmith a document that is global in nature. And it'll be over before that ever got done.
Yeah.
So I think this needs to be moved on now.
Bob?
And I agree, and there may be things that we learn in the next week or month or 3 months that needs to be added or changed in this plan that we can't foresee tonight. So to get something in place now and then put a tickler in the calendar a month from now or something so we don't forget to do it.
We're reviewing on a weekly basis all the town office is reviewing their process every week. Fire department's reviewing, the police department, everybody's reviewing the guidance that's coming out and the way we're operating regularly to make sure that, because it is, like Bob said, it does change. So.
Don, going back to Dana's question, what does that mean on employee travel? The town has canceled all work-related travel.
Right. That's for training purposes,
But it doesn't say that. It says all work-related travel.
Well, that's a blanket. I mean,
Does that mean our public works people can't drive the trucks?
they can drive, yeah.
That's what it says, so that's what I'm saying.
Right, I think that's splitting hairs though. What we're talking about is sending somebody down to Portland, Lewiston, or whatever to service some training, but as far as travel goes within the community, obviously we have to do our job. And, we're not going to send anybody to a training. I mean, the police chief has canceled his vacations. We've put a hold on all vacations with our people until further notice, unless it's a planned departure to go and build up redundancy in our workforce. But I hear what you're saying, but I don't think that we need to get that.
Well, if I'm an employee and I read this policy,
Well, hopefully they'll call me up and say, listen, can I drive the truck because I'll set them straight on.
no, the policy says they're not supposed to.
I see how you're interpreting it, it's not how it was.
I know that,
Okay,
but-
I'll add a couple of words in there to suck.
Yeah, I think so, because,
Straight down.
this says, the town has canceled all work-related travel.
Non-work related travel.
Not the first sentence. The town has canceled all work-related travel for essential employees.
And when we wrote that, there were still things open and places to go, and now there isn't.
No, I'm just talking about
That
our
part
day-to-day work. The way I read that first sentence says, we're not supposed to have anybody
Okay,
travel.
I'm gonna add to that, Don, just to go get your approval on it, outside of daily work.
Obligations.
Routine
Yeah.
work or something.
Clears it up.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we missed that, that's just the terminology. I mean,
Did you,
And I guess that's my,
did you want approval of this from the council?
Yes.
I'd make a motion, we approve that COVID-19 policy. I think it's well written.
With a few,
But,
Yeah, I'll make a couple of changes, send it off to you tomorrow morning, for,
Second.
all in favor?
thank you.
Next up is item number 7, and it might not be on, but
Yeah.
sewer foreclosures.
This is something that we didn't get to quick enough, but this is what we're looking at. Can we give them an update on the sheets?
These are the remaining ones that we have for foreclosure date, and it's April 23rd. Everybody has signed for their notices as far as foreclosures. I don't, there might be just one there that I'm not sure if we'll have payment on. The rest of them we've had contact with.
And we'll be talking about an abatement on that if that happens.
couldn't hear it.
We'll be talking about an abatement on that one if it happens. At the next council meeting.
Good.
And the last thing I have on this agenda, gentlemen, is a resolve. And I think you got a copy of it there, and I'm gonna need a signature. Did I send it out?
This one here?
Thank you. And that was generated for, actually, Chief Coughlin, this is on his desk.
that's MMA, workers' comp. It used to be known as the LEADER program. They retooled that. They've got a new name that I can't think of off the top of my head. But it's for to be able to get rebates on your workers' comp as we have in the past, based on your rating factor. So we have to retool our whole safety program to meet these guidelines. One of the first pieces that we have to do is this resolve and then send it back to them, letting them know that the leadership of the town is on board with it and wants us to participate in the program. So it's just a retooled program of something we were already doing for workplace safety.
If I can get you gentlemen to sign that, if you agree with it.
We're not supposed to show pen.
You said FW, we're not supposed to write into that one.
I'm not supposed to use blue ink either, right?
One more thing before we end up closing down. How do you gentlemen feel about continuing on with the council meetings in this format once a month? Or would you feel safer by having it from home and doing it through Zoom?
I like this myself.
I like this.
Okay, all right. Once a month is still adequate? If I get more business, we can send off for a quicker meeting if we need.
So the next meeting would be the
Second Tuesday.
Second.
or
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Second Wednesday, thank you.
I'd like to
Yeah, will be June 10th?
May something.
May.
Oh, May 10th.
All set? I make a motion to adjourn.
Not May the 10th,
I have a
maybe
question.
May the 13th.
Would be the second Wednesday, May 13th.
So like that.
Thank you.
Just a moment's question.
Can you refresh our memory, the trailer that was on the Smithfield Road? That the side of it blew off and
Yeah, the house.
The house.
The house. We've got that right now. I think legal's got it. We've signed some paperwork on it to actually deem it a dangerous building. And it's owned by a mortgage company. And that's where we're at. We haven't boarded it up ourselves because we don't want to get any money involved into it until we absolutely have to.
did we get involved with a trailer too, though, that was near Davis's?
That's been resolved. Yeah, that was at 137 Smithfield
Yeah.
Road. That trailer was demolished by
Yeah.
Debbie Davis and her family, and so it just kind of took care of itself.
So they put another trailer there.
I'm sure they probably did.
Do they own it?
I don't know who the owner is on it. I can't
Because
answer.
it's for sale.
Okay.
And I was just curious as to what the sequence was. I saw them putting the new one in there and like making it accessible.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't noticed that, John, to be honest, and I just drove by it today too, but I didn't look.
Well, I think the sign just went up today too.
Oh, is that right?
I'm just curious.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we haven't boarded up that house?
No, we're waiting for, I'd have to talk with Dave to refresh my memory on this. There was something that we're waiting from the legal department to either authorize us to get out there and board it up, or there was something, and I can't remember, Dave, the exact details on it. But I can find out tomorrow from Dave. And
I think you need to do that.
Yeah.
If we're deeming it a dangerous building, it needs to be boarded up.
I just had one more quick thing to mention. The Assistance to Firefighter Grant Program is releasing the next round of applications for the next round of the SAFER grant, which is staffing. I talked to Gary a little bit about it this evening. I'd like to, in the next week or so, come up with a proposal. If we're going to read over all the documents and come up with a potential proposal. But before we move forward, I would ask that Gary would send something out to all of the council, just for, even if it's a straw poll opinion or what have you, on what we might propose before we dive into it too deeply. I just haven't had a chance to review everything yet, so I just want, kind of go ahead and at least do that, and then we'll look at it. Gary will send something out, but I just want to give you a heads up on it that in the next week or two that may be coming across your emails or phone calls from Gary.
Anything else? Motion is made to adjourn. Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, folks, and good night.
Any questions from the people?
No,
Still there, Nate?
Yeah, no questions.
Okay, good to hear, okay?
It kept cutting out, but I think some of it had to do with the reception.
Oh, okay, the internet's.
External mic maybe would help a little bit, but.
Yeah, I'll get that going.
Good night. Thank you.
Good.
Perfect.
Thank you, Nate.
All right, have a good night.
You too.
All right.
So I'll make those
How many
changes on
people do
that
we have?
document. I want to get it off first thing in the morning, but I'll send you guys a updated copy with the changes like you recommended.
Kelly called in my
and
phone.
Your recommendation to get rid of the emails on it.
But she didn't stay very long,
I'll just get them up.
maybe 10, not even 10 minutes.
That's still on, your camera's still on.
I assume it's her, because Gary said that she and Nate were the only two that